This is a BBC podcast. You can get all our podcasts and our terms of use at bbcworldservice.com/podcasts.
BBC World Service. I'm Mike Williams, and this is The Why Factor. Why do we do the things we do? Why do we do this? Today, the laugh. Why do we do it? What does it mean? For answers this week, I've been speaking to the South African comedian David Cow. He's worked across the continent and around the world. Also to the British-Iranian Omid Jalili. He's a comedian and an actor, and he's done his stand-up routines on 4 continents. Those two coming up, but we'll start with this.
Okay, I'm Professor Robert R. Provine, Professor of Psychology and Neuroscience at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. Laughter doesn't appear till about 3 or 4 months after birth, unlike crying that's already present at birth. But laughter is an early form of communication between mothers and babies. So if a mother touches or tickled the baby will smile and laugh back. If the mother does it too much, the baby will fuss. So it's an important form of communication and bonding between babies and mothers. Laughter is a social signal. We don't laugh when we're alone. We laugh 30 times more often in social than solitary situations. If you want to laugh or you want to listen to laughter, you got to seek out friends, family, lovers.
Do we never laugh alone?
Almost never. When you are laughing alone, it's most often to the radio or to the people in the TV box, but it's a kind of vicarious stimulation. The people are still there, even if they're in the television, the radio. Laughter is social. In fact, laughter is more about relationships than jokes.
What do you mean by that?
When you record what people say before they laugh, it's typically comments like, "Well, I've got to go now," or "Where have you been?" This is not strong comedy material.
And Omid is a very powerful name in Iran. Omid means hope. It's just a shame that Jalili means less.
What does it mean to you when you get a laugh?
Well, that's a fantastic question, because it's not just about getting a laugh early on as a comedian. They say you've only got about 7 to 10 seconds to get a laugh. And once you go beyond that, it's risky. I've seen comedians, saying, I'm a funny guy, and they talk for about 20, 30 seconds, and people shout, "Tell us a joke, get off, you're not funny, get off." And I say, "Well, give me a chance." He goes, "You're not funny, get off." And they say, "Well, actually, I'm a schizophrenic." They say, "Well, you can both get off." So people... You've got about 7 to 10 seconds, and when I do get that first laugh, I would say it's a relief. But in answer to your question, what's it like to get a laugh? I suppose metaphysically, for me, it's validation and feeling that I exist. So a laugh isn't just professionally, let's get a laugh and move on. It heals tremendous wounds from my childhood.
Our lives are filled with laughter, but they're not filled with comedy. Laughter is a kind of social glue. It's a sound we make associated with playful relationships between friends and family. In fact, perhaps only 10 or 15% of comments preceding everyday laughter are remotely things that are jokey. So if you want to learn about laughter, you shouldn't focus on comedy.
Yet there are some comedians who seem to be able to elicit it very easily, very successfully. What are they doing?
Well, first of all, it's important for the comedian to develop a relationship with you. For example, the comedian may say, last night when I was at the checkout line in the grocery store, the person in front of me said or did, trying to develop a relationship with you. So great comedians are people who are successful at developing a relationship with the audience. They don't go out and inflict a joke on you. So a great comedian can make any line funny. And if you don't have the gift, you could take some of the world's best comedy materials and turn it into nothing.
I've been booed off stages many times when I've looked back, I thought, what happened there? And I didn't establish a relationship. It's a very bizarre thing just to come out and to start talking to an audience. So you need to do things to acknowledge what's actually happening here. But if that connection hasn't been made, it can really be disastrous. I've been booed off after 2 or 3 minutes because I haven't done that. So there are many ways of doing that. You can ask people, audiences, questions. Are you well? People often do good evening. Are you all happy? Are you all up for a laugh? You all had a drink? And I usually, and once they said yes, I said, and that is why the West must be destroyed. So you have to find ways of trying to connect with an audience. And the quicker, the better.
Could you tell me a really great joke really badly?
They say that brevity is the soul of wit. And the shortest joke is by the British comedian Tim Vine. The joke is, Velcro, what a rip-off. Now, it's a very short joke, and it's only 4 words long. But you could do that joke very badly. You can say, here's a joke for you. You know Velcro? Yeah. Do you know what? It's a real rip-off, innit? And you've actually added words.
Yeah.
But what he does there, he'll say, Velcro. Get that in your mind. What a rip-off. So there is a rhythm to it as well. But you can mess up jokes. And in fact, they say about 80 to 90% of why we laugh at a comedian is the personality. That's the connection with the audience.
And that gives you great latitude then, doesn't it? It lets you talk about differences between people. You use race in your sets a lot. How do you get away with it?
I think that what you have to do is, make the audience trust you. So if you discuss race in this particular climate, you have to show that you are a humane person, you're a loving person, you love... I've often done Nigerian accents, but Nigerians seem to love it because it's done with affection. So
is there mileage in the differences between people?
Yes, I think we have to. Look, there's a difference between unity and uniformity and unity and diversity. So we have to celebrate those differences. And if we can find humour in those differences, then that's even better.
There's a guy here, he's asking for free tickets. He says he knows you. As head. He says he was with you on the island. Give him 2.
My name is David Kau. I am a South African comedian. I've been doing stand-up comedy for 14 years.
David, listen, thanks very much indeed for joining us. Now, I can hear some typing or something at that end, or a little bit of clicking.
It's the black guy, the short black guy.
I'm sure he'll stop soon.
This guy's black. He saw a computer. He saw an opportunity to send a tax clearance certificate or something.
Okay.
I think he's done now.
Well, let's talk about your act. How would you describe your comedy? What do you do?
I talk about everyday South Africa. I talk about my life. I talk about black people, Indian people, colored people, white people, because that's what I know, that's what I see, that's what's in front of me. And I think we have to talk about it before we all sit and act like we're actually all the same, because we're not. We listen to different music, we dance differently, we watch different TV channels.
We may all be different, but we all laugh the same way. For years, Robert Provine has been recording these strange noises, cataloguing, measuring, counting.
Laughter has a common underlying structure. If all laughter was different, we wouldn't know what they're doing. So the laugh sound is a basic ha-type sound that's about 1/15 of a second, and it repeats about every 5th second. So when you hear the ha-ha-ha, everyone laughs with that basic pattern. You have very short ha sounds like ha. That doesn't sound like laughter. Or if you put a long delay between the ha sounds like ha, 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 doesn't sound like laughter. So there's a narrow range over which we can produce the sounds, and when you hear the sounds, it actually sounds like laughter. If you consult the experts in this matter, our primate ancestors, for example, the common chimp laughter is like a guttural breathing. I'll give you a sample of it. Laughter is literally the sound of the labored breathing of rough and tumble play.
Omid, how do I put this tastefully? Has being funny helped your love life?
I was never attractive to the opposite sex. until I opened my mouth, until I started talking to people and making people laugh. And then I realized quite at a young age that making people laugh gave me a comfort, that people thought, oh, he's a nice guy, he's okay, he's funny. And he was useful. That's all I've wanted to be, useful in society. They go, okay, he could make us laugh, so he's okay. When I was younger, I don't remember anybody saying to me in my adolescence, I really fancy you. No one ever said that. I did get people saying, oh, he's really funny. And I did get some attention from the opposite sex.
Women find men very attractive who have a good sense of humor. But women don't care whether the man laughs or not. She just cares whether the man makes her laugh.
What if she's laughing at him? Is there such a thing as cruel laughter?
Yeah, well, laughter has two faces. One is the most common PC form of it, where we have the playful laugh with friends and family. But there's also the laughter we name jeering or ridicule. It can be associated with some of the most terrible things in human behavior, in human history. For example, Plato and Aristotle paid a lot of attention to laughter, not because they thought it was interesting or fun, it's because they feared its power. Laughter could lead to undermining authority and to the overthrow of the state. They were also aware that laughter was present during those pillagings and rapings that we hear throughout history. The boys going through Columbine High School murdering their classmates were laughing. People being beaten to death in the street are often laughing at the unfortunate recipient of their attention. So the ancients were aware that laughter can be pleasant, but it also had this dark, evil side. In fact, if you laugh at the wrong person at the wrong time, it can get you beaten up, if not killed, even today.
Omid Jalili, comedy can be dangerous, can't it? Dangerous to authority, but also dangerous for the comedian.
It's always important for comedians to position themselves somewhere. And I think that comedy is powerful, but it's very powerful to highlight some injustices and highlight the things that maybe the government's doing wrong. Every time now with YouTube and Twitter and Facebook, something ridiculous that a leader says just spreads like wildfire, and there are millions of jokes about it. So it's also a way of criticism. So it is powerful in that sense. And
in parts of the world, dangerous for the comedian to challenge that authority.
Yes, in some parts of the world, it's very dangerous in the sense that the comedian can go to jail. You know, it's one of those things where, can comedy really bring down a government? I know that the Hadi Khorsandi, the father of Shapi Khorsandi, he's often seen as the kind of Bill Hicks of Iran. He was a very, very outspoken political comedian who then was forced to flee because a lot of his ideas were against what the government was talking about. And for him to have a free voice, he could only really voice it from outside of the country. So it shows you how powerful comedy can be.
There are people that encourage you to say some things or make fun of certain people, because it's also about status. You know, you can either raise someone else's status or you can almost insult or assassinate their character with what you say on stage. And you've got the platform as well, whether it's television or thousands of people in a theater who you literally could change their opinion or even influence their decision. So you'll find a joke will travel more than a politician's speech, for instance, or a campaign for that matter.
We laugh at the wrong time quite often, don't we? Mm-hmm. I used to get into trouble for laughing at school when I was being told off. I've had laughing fits at a funeral. It's just dreadfully embarrassing, but sometimes unstoppable. Let me play you this, Omid Jalili. It even happens when you're reading the news live on radio.
All right.
American historians have discovered what they think is the earliest recording of the human voice, made on a device which scratched sound.
That's Charlotte Green describing some old recording technique. She's doing just great, to begin with.
Before Thomas Edison first demonstrated the gramophone, and featured an excerpt from a French song, Au clair de la lune. The award-winning screenwriter Abby Mann has died at the age of 80. He won an Academy Award in 1961 for Judgment at Nuremberg. Abby Mann also won several Emmys, including one in 1973 for a film which featured a police detective called the character on whom a long-running TV series was eventually based.
It's 10 minutes past 8. Fighting between Shia militias and the Iraqi forces is into its third day.
That awful? Isn't that awful?
Yeah.
What were you laughing at, though? She didn't actually say anything funny?
I think she was laughing that the very, very first recording was just someone with a really bad voice who can't sing.
But why were you laughing? Why are we laughing now?
I was laughing because she was trying to contain her laughter. She's trying to stay professional. And I know if it was me, if I'd said, and here we have the first ever recording, it was just, I'll go, it's ridiculous. And I think that was it. The whole thing was absurd.
And her laughter's contagious, isn't it? It's when you hear someone laugh, it's hard not to laugh with them.
Yes, it is. It is very hard not to laugh and hard not to empathise with her situation because we're seeing someone suffer.
At the end of that, after that music, she had to go on and announce the death of
someone. Yeah.
Yeah, a very, very serious thing.
But that's what we empathise. We're empathising with her suffering. There's also a laughter of relief. We're laughing we're relieved that it's not us.
So when we laugh, when we hear other people laugh, we yawn when we see other people yawn. This is a reminder that we humans are herd animals. We're not the rational, consciously controlled beings that we fancy ourselves to be.
Laughter makes almost everything just a little bit easier. It just takes away so much tension and uncomfort between whether it's different races or different sexes or different ages.
In more philosophical terms, do we laugh at the same things?
We do. We laugh at human behavior. We laugh at everyday things that affect us. Everyone has a joke about when they woke up this morning or being married or having kids or, traveling on a plane or on a train or public transport and being stopped by a traffic cop or a policeman. We all laugh at the same things.
You've been listening to Mike Williams talking to Robert R. Provine, author of Curious Behaviour, Yawning, Laughing, Hiccuping and Beyond. David Cow and Omid Jalili, whose new Tour of Duty DVD is out next month. The email address is yfactor@bbc.com.
There are dozens of different podcasts now available from the BBC, including news, documentaries, science, business, arts and sport. For details of them all, go to bbcworldservice.com/podcasts.